I'm guessing a lot of you have done this before. You sit down to finally get into your bookkeeping. You open up QuickBooks or you pull up your spreadsheet, and about 10 minutes in, you're confused, you're frustrated, and you close the laptop and say, you'll come back to it later. And then weeks go by, maybe longer. And when you finally do sit back down, it just kind of feels like you're starting all over again. And not because you necessarily forgot how, but because you just never really found your rhythm in the first place. And if that's you, I think you're going to be encouraged and maybe a little motivated by today's episode. Let's dive in. Hey there, and welcome to the Boutique Bookkeeper Show, where we take the mystery out of your money and make your numbers make sense. I'm Megan, virtual bookkeeper and bookkeeping coach, and I love helping female boutique owners just like you finally feel confident about the financial side of your business. If you're tired of feeling anxious every time you have to open QuickBooks, or if you're making sales but constantly left wondering, where did all that money go? You're in the right place. We'll cover all things bookkeeping and taxes, all in plain English, so you can be less intimidated by the numbers and finally start to use them to help you grow a profitable boutique. So, if you're ready to stop avoiding this whole numbers thing and start keeping more of the money you make, grab your coffee and your calculator and let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Boutique Bookkeeper Show. I'm Megan, and today we are going to be talking about something a little different. So recently, I listened to an episode of the Inventory Genius podcast, and it's hosted by a colleague and friend of mine, Ciara Stockeland. If you haven't ever listened to her podcast before, I highly encourage you to go check it out because it is an amazing resource for you product-based business owners out there. But the specific episode that I want to talk about was an interview that she did featuring Rebecca, who is actually a former student of my course as well. So it was fun to get to listen to her talk through her financial journey with Ciara, and it was just such a treat for me. But what she shared was so good that I reached out to both Ciara and Rebecca, and I asked their permission to kind of recap the episode here on my show because I think that you could benefit and be encouraged by what they shared on that episode. I will be sure to link to the full episode in the show notes, and when you have time, I do encourage you to go and listen to the full episode, but I'm just going to kind of give Cliff Notes version here and highlight some of my own key takeaways for you guys here. Now, Rebecca's background isn't in anything related to bookkeeping or finance. She spent years in hospice care and grief therapy, and since then, she has moved on to create her own business, and in learning some of this bookkeeping and finance side of her own business, she identified 3 key words to help describe this journey that she's been on when it comes to understanding the money side of her business. And today, I just want to walk through what those 3 words actually meant for her because I think they're going to mean something for you too. So before we get into those 3 words though, I want to kind of set the stage with where Rebecca started because I think a lot of you are going to see yourselves in her story. So Rebecca has a master's degree and she has years of experience running businesses. And she said that she felt that she should just know how to do her books. And when she didn't, when she struggled with it, it kind of turned into something that she recognized as shame. She didn't necessarily recognize that feeling right away, but over time she recognized that was what she was feeling. It was just kind of sitting there under the surface, and she actually described it as a drip. One small thing that you avoid, and then another, until eventually that drip becomes an ocean, and you're standing behind what she called this wall of water, not even knowing where to start anymore. And on top of that, she was falling into what a lot of boutique owners fall into. She was watching her Shopify sales come in. Her husband had the sound notifications on, so every sale went that, cha-ching on his phone. And she said that she had that feeling that, things were going well. But the top line number, right, the total sales coming in that she was seeing through those cha-ching notifications, right, those are the numbers before anything is taken out. So it doesn't tell you what you actually get to keep. It doesn't track the cost of goods sold there. It doesn't account for your taxes. It doesn't tell you what's actually left over for you. And Rebecca kind of refers to this number as a vanity number. Like, it feels good, but it's not the whole story. So that's kind of her starting point in this episode, right? It's that shame, avoidance. It's a number that looks good on the surface, but it doesn't tell the real story. So let's get into the 3 words that she talked about here. So Rebecca was really clear about this. The first word that she used to describe her journey is courage. The courage came first, not confidence, courage. And for her, that showed up in a specific hard lesson. She actually had an accountant that left her feeling awful every time they met. She said that she would leave those meetings in tears, but honestly, she was kind of afraid to leave that accountant because she didn't really know if she'd find anyone better. She had met with some before and they were outrageously expensive, and it took her to have courage to be able to take that first step, walk away, and go find someone she could actually trust. And she also identified that part of the reason she was avoiding the numbers in her business and her bookkeeping was because she was kind of avoiding that relationship that she had with her accountant. So through this journey of hers, she kind of identified that courage was the first step for her. She needed the courage to take action, to take that first step. But courage doesn't have to be some big giant leap every time. Sometimes it's just the courage to make a small step to start. It's putting a number in a spreadsheet, even when you're not exactly sure if you're doing it right. She said that she used to have so many questions on her numbers early on when she first started, making the decision to tackle this. Having questions like, where does this go? Do I have to split this expense across all 12 months, or do I just enter it at once? And she was just encouraged to just keep going, right? Just put it in. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? It's just having the courage to take action and kind of just learning along the way. So taking the imperfect action instead of waiting until you feel ready is sometimes the best move that you can make. All right, the second word on this journey of hers is consistency. So once Rebecca said, once she had the courage to start, the next piece was just showing up for it again and again, having that commitment and the consistency. She built a habit that she also referred to as Money Mondays, if any of that sounds familiar to you. Every single Monday, first thing, she sits down with her numbers, and she used a phrase, it was kind of fun for me to hear this. She calls it her financial hygiene. So think about it this way, like nobody wakes up and asks whether they feel like brushing their teeth today. You just do it because it's just part of taking care of yourself. And Rebecca treats her numbers the exact same way. And one thing that I really liked how she phrased it is, if you're waiting until Wednesday or Thursday to actually look at your numbers, well, everything else in your business has already piled up on top of you. And by the time you get to it, you're in what she called this tsunami effect. But when you look at your numbers first, before the week tends to get away from you, you're making decisions during that week from a proactive place because you know what your numbers look like at the start of the week. You know what the week is kind of going to look like, right? So when you look at your numbers on Monday, you might know that, okay, payroll is coming on Friday. The bank account's looking a little lean. You maybe don't have the money to make a specific purchase or make a specific donation that week, right? Because you know your bank account's going to be a little tight on Friday. But it can also be the opposite, right? If you know that you've been having a great sales month, your bank account's looking pretty good, even with payroll coming on Friday, you know that you have a little bit of wiggle room. You know that you have that money available where you can invest in different things throughout the week if you think it would be beneficial. And consistency is also what taught Rebecca something really important about her numbers. So a single month on its own is just a snapshot, right? She went through an example where she had a month that she had to pay for a large inventory order, but it didn't actually get paid by the client in the following month, right? Her business, she sells different books and resources to hospitals where she actually invoices them, and then it takes a while for the invoice to get paid. So I know that certain framework maybe doesn't apply to some of you if you have just a straight brick and mortar store, right? You don't have that timing difference. But in her business, she did. So it was important for her to be able to look at her business as a whole, kind of zoomed out, so she could see that, okay, yes, in this month, maybe things were a little tighter. It didn't look like she was as profitable. But then if you zoomed out and looked at the 3-month time frame, she was super profitable, but she just wouldn't be able to see it by looking at one isolated month. So that is kind of her story on the consistency being committed to her numbers, showing up every single week and just kind of building that muscle so it becomes routine and it becomes something that she just gets more familiar and comfortable with. That was the consistency that she said was huge, and it kind of embodies this second phase in her financial journey. But the third word is the one that I really want you to sit with, and that was confidence. So Rebecca said that most people want confidence to come first. They want to feel sure before they take that step. But really, in her mind, that's backwards, right? Confidence is a byproduct of action. It doesn't show up before you start this journey, but eventually that confidence shows up because you started and because you stayed consistent throughout. All right, she didn't feel confident and then began doing her Money Mondays. She began doing her Money Mondays, kept showing up, kept pushing through the confusion, and the confidence eventually caught up to her later on. And now she's fully debt-free. She says she can talk about her numbers without that fear that used to be there. And she is able to view her business with a just stronger financial understanding of where things are. All right, so just a quick recap and what I kind of want you to walk away with today. All right, you do not need to feel ready before you start. You simply need the courage to take that first step, whatever that looks like for you, whether that is opening QuickBooks for the very first time. Maybe it's having a hard conversation with your bookkeeper or accountant, or maybe it's just finally making that commitment to sit down and actually look at your numbers as they are, not necessarily what you hope they are or what you want them to be, but just looking at the numbers in black and white and facing them head on. Once you take that first step, you just need the consistency and the commitment to keep showing up week after week. And then remember, confidence isn't a prerequisite. It's what's waiting for you on the other side of making that courageous first step and showing up consistently. The confidence will come. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I have been working on something that will be coming in about a month or so. And I think it's really going to help you if you find yourself struggling somewhere on this journey that Rebecca shared about. Whether you need to find the confidence just to take that first step, whether you need some help finding a consistent routine with your bookkeeping in order to give you the courage to the confidence to actually face your numbers and the confidence in the numbers. So I think that what I'm putting together is really going to help you no matter what phase you find yourself in. I am not quite ready to share all of the details yet, but keep listening over the next couple weeks because I will be sharing more. And I think that this could be really helpful for a lot of you that just kind of need some help getting started. So stay tuned because more is coming. Hopefully by next week, but for sure the week after. So be sure to listen to the next couple of episodes. But that is all that I have for you today. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode. I'll see you there. Hey there, and thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope that I shared something that helped you feel just a little bit more confident in understanding all the numbers in your boutique business. If you found this helpful, don't forget to go and leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. That's the best way for other boutique owners just like you to find this podcast so I can help them feel just a little bit more confident in their numbers as well. If you have any questions about what you heard today, hop on over to Instagram and send me a DM at Finding Freedom Financial. I'll be back again real soon, but in the meantime, go implement or take action on something you learned today. I promise your future self will thank you.